Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome into the first Knicks picks for MLB YouTube video of 2025 of the 2025 season, where we're going to go over free agency, the 10 biggest moves from this offseason. I've got them on a Google Doc, and we're going to talk about them. So yeah, that's really what I got for this video. It's the first one. We're going to be doing stuff like this throughout spring training, free agency, but we're going to be talking about some other stuff like how teams look in spring training and all that before we get to the regular season. And then from there, it's just picking baseball games time. Just going in every single day, just picking. But yeah, we're going to get under 1,000 wrong this year. That's the hope. And let's go.
Dead, yo, so I continue to A1A. Girls were hot, women less than bikinis. Rockmen lovers, driving Lamborghinis. Jealous, cause I'm out getting mine. Shade with the gauge and vanilla with the 9. Ready for the chumps on the wall. The chumps acting ill cause I'm full of 8-ball. Gunshots ranged out like a bell. I grabbed my 9, all I heard was shells falling on the concrete real fast. Jumped in my car, slammed on the gas. Bumper to bumper, the avenue's packed. I'm trying to get away before the jackers jack. Police on the scene, you know what I mean? They passed me up, confronted all the dope fiends. If there was a problem, yo, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby.
Start with number 10. It happened actually quite recently. Anthony Santander signs with the Toronto Blue Jays for 5 years, $92 million. My honest first glance thoughts are some teams could have definitely offered this and gotten Anthony Santander. 5 years, 92 seems like a bit cheap for a guy like Anthony Santander, who's going to give you 30 home runs a year and some pretty solid defense out in the outfield, can play multiple positions. Yeah, it just felt like the Blue Jays got him on a bit of a discount. Maybe they did. Maybe that was the plan, was for Anthony Santander to go to the Blue Jays on a discount. But let's think about it this way for a minute. $15 million a year would be $100 million. So 5 years, $100 million would be $15 million a year, because 4 years, $100 million would be 25. So 5 years would be $15 million a year. I low-key think Anthony Santander is worth more than $15 million a year. So the Blue Jays definitely got him on a discount. That's great for the Blue Jays because Anthony Santander is a hell of a player. He's going to have a big season this season. And yeah, that's what I got. Anthony Santander to the Blue Jays. I'll give it an A-. It's a pretty good move. Next thing we got is Max Fried to the New York Yankees for 8 years, $218 million. I like the move. It's another great pitcher in the Yankees rotation. Garrett Cole and now Max Fried, that 1-2, righty and lefty, there's not many ways to stop that. Especially if Garrett Cole's rolling, then Max Fried, who throws efficiently. Yeah, it's going to be a great Yankees rotation to watch this year with Max Fried and all that. Luis Gil having a breakout season last year. He's going to have a good season this season. Nestor Cortez, I see a big year out of him. I see the Yankees overall having a big season. Max Fried just contributes and adds the fuel to the fire for the New York Yankees this year. I think 8 and 7 are completely interchangeable on in terms of rankings, but I had Christian Walker to the Houston Astros at 8, and Josh Naylor traded to the D-backs for Slade Cecconi and a draft pick at 7. I'm going to talk about the Christian Walker one first because I think it benefits the Astros ever so slightly less than Josh Naylor to the D-backs. But let me explain, okay? Christian Walker pulling the ball to left field in Minute Maid Park is the only reason why this trade is... Well, actually, I take that back because Christian Walker is also a really good baseball player, but Christian Walker is going to get heavily benefited by the wall in Minute Maid. That's why we think Isaac Paredes is going to have such a big season for fantasy baseball, because he is. Because of that wall at Minute Maid. He's going to have such a big season. And Christian Walker, it's going to be the exact same story. He's a righty pull hitter that's going to pull balls onto the train tracks. It's going to be a great season for Christian Walker. A hell of a pickup for the Houston Astros. They were smart with this one. You know, I said it a lot that the Houston Astros needed a first baseman because they were trotting out John Singleton and Yainer Diaz, even though he's a catcher. Christian Walker solves all of their problems in terms of defense, in terms of hitting. He brings it all to the table. That's a great trade. Sorry, a great signing. But I think Josh Naylor is going to benefit the Diamondbacks ever so slightly more than Christian Walker benefits the Astros, and let me explain. I think when it comes down to it, even though, yes, the Diamondbacks technically gave up something for Josh Naylor, they gave up Slade Cecconi and a draft pick, that is really a bag of chips compared to what you're getting for Josh Naylor. I mean, how good has he been in Cleveland over the past couple years? How big of a clubhouse guy has he been? very big clubhouse guy out there in Cleveland. He was a big leader on this team. I'm not gonna lie. And he was also able to pull balls to right field, even though Cleveland's right field kind of far. Well, Arizona's right field in the pool's about 390 feet. That's definitely pullable. And then all the way to the foul pole in right field, Chase Field, at least like 340 feet, 330 maybe. That's definitely doable for Josh Naylor, and I think he's going to have a big season out there in Arizona. He also is a pretty good defensive first baseman where the D-backs lost Christian Walker and they needed it, so Josh Naylor adds some power to that offense, which the Diamondbacks do need. And I think he's going to help a lot. He's going to benefit the D-backs ever so slightly more than Christian Walker benefits the Astros. Very close, though. Both two amazing moves right here. But yeah, let's move on to number 6. The next move we got is Tanner Scott going to the rival Dodgers for 4 years, $72 million. I'm not going to lie, when Tanner Scott got to San Diego and then played for the San Diego Padres, he sucked. I'm not going to lie. At least for me, it felt like every single time I looked up at the scoreboard and looked up at what was going on, he was just getting absolutely shelled. Like, was that not the way that it was going? Like, maybe he had a decent slash line, but at least for me, whenever I watched him, he absolutely sucked. And that's kind of what I heard around about him, because I didn't watch him as much, so. But yeah, either way, though, this definitely helps the Dodgers in terms of their bullpen. Like, if we looked at one weakness in this team, it was at least, like, the weakest part. It's not even that weak, but it's still the bullpen. Like, they have Evan Phillips, and that's not really it. When it comes to the Dodgers bullpen, it was really good. It was really effective, don't get me wrong, but it's the weakest part of this team for sure. And I think Tanner Scott's definitely going to help this for sure. He's going to need to settle in, but once he does, he's going to be a dynamite player. Number 5 on my free agency rankings, we got Pete Alonso returning to the Mets. This happened literally today as I'm recording this. It's a big move for 2 years, $54 million. Hey, the Mets do what they gotta do to get Pete the Polar Bear back on their team. He's a Mets legend at this point. What he did in Game 3 of the wild card round, insanity. What he did here, what he did there, insanity. He is a New York Mets legend at this point, and he needs to stay there. And 2 years, $54 million is kind of doable. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's a really good deal for Pete Alonso when you thought about him going to maybe the Houston Astros, which that's where I thought he was going to go. If you watch my most recent video on my channel, I haven't uploaded in forever, but that changes today, all right? But yeah, still, Pete Alonso to the Mets, you got to love it. If you're a Mets fan, if you're a baseball fan, you got to love this move. Next up, we got Roki Sasaki signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. I got to look up his contract because I didn't write it down. All right, so I can't find an exact number, but he says he's signed through the 2030 season, so we're just going to go off that. Roki Sasaki, absolute phenom in Japan. I'm sure you guys know that. Famous over there for his nastiness. Him being 19 and just absolutely popping off. Almost throwing back-to-back perfect games in Japan. He's absolutely insane when it comes to baseball. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say. Like, the Dodgers, like, did you really expect Roki Sasaki to go anywhere else but the Dodgers? It was either he was coming to the Dodgers or he was staying back in Japan. Like, let's keep it 100. Like, at this point, the Dodgers have turned baseball into a Japanese hub for just all Japanese players that know guys, that know people to come play for the Dodgers, because they already have Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and now Roki Sasaki. There's more Japanese players to come. Big Japanese community over there in Los Angeles because of these 3 guys. It's only going to keep growing and growing and growing till eventually the Dodgers turn into a full Japanese team. Yeah, that's what I got. At number 3, we got the Chicago Cubs landing Kyle Tucker for Cam Smith, Hayden Wesneski, and the biggest, Isaac Paredes. I like this move for both sides. Number 1, the Cubs compensated for losing Cody Bellinger by bringing in Kyle Tucker, a better player than Cody Bellinger, I'm not going to lie. So this definitely helps the Cubs in that aspect, but let's look at the defense as well, because Kyle Tucker is a Gold Glove defender out there in right field where the Cubs need it because they've had Seiya Suzuki absolutely botching baseballs in the outfield for them. And then on the other side, you got Cam Smith, a super promising prospect over there in Houston, followed by Isaac Paredes, who, like we talked about with Christian Walker, short wall in left field, gonna pull the ball a lot, great fantasy baseball option. And then Hayden Wesneski has a couple years of control. For a young pitcher like that, that's definitely going to be a big help for the Astros. Lots of years of control for him, while Kyle Tucker is kind of just a rental. It is still a very big move. It's why it's number 3 on my list. I think it's a good move for both sides. Let's go to number 2, where Corbin Burns goes to the Arizona Diamondbacks For 6 years, $210 million. First, honest thoughts, Corbin Burnes is going to be the day one starter from here. He's probably going to be the opening day starter, which is what I meant by a day one starter. He's going to come in and help the rotation, no doubt about it at all. He's going to provide some extra pitching knowledge. Like, let's look at that for a minute. I mean, Corbin Burnes has one of the best cutters in the game. He can definitely help Zach Gallen out with his cutter for sure. I mean, it's not the greatest right now, but he can make it the greatest for sure. Like Corbin Burnes, he may be a little bit older, and we may have seen the drop-offs last year with him in the second half of the season getting absolutely rocked, but he is still a really good pitcher, and at least in the first half, he's going to provide you with a ton of wins, tons of strikeouts, and all that. And eventually, as the season went on, Corbin Burnes did get better to pitch 8 innings in the playoffs, and his offense can't score. So yeah, that's really what I got. Corbin Burnes to the D-backs, I like the move a lot. 6 years, 210 is not that bad of a contract in terms of having to pay him. But yeah, 6 years I think is perfect for a 30-year-old pitcher. I think the D-backs nailed this. I think I'm going to give him an A-. I haven't been giving grades. I kind of forgot about it. But the number one move of the offseason, I'm sure you guys guessed it, it's Juan Soto to the Mets. I mean, was it really going to be anything else? This is the most pressure-free situation Juan Soto can get into. Outside of the money, of course. But in terms of like playing and slotting right in, it's so pressure-free for Juan Soto. You get to slot right into right field, which is not really taken at all. I mean, Tyrone Taylor, but they're going to move him to the left, let's be honest. You just get to slot right into right field, slot right into the second hole, to the 2-hole, bat right behind Lindor, and bat in front of Mark Vientos. That is the most pressure-free situation. You're going to get pitches to hit in that case, because if you don't give pitches to hit to Juan Soto, you're going to get, like, if you're Lindor and Vientos, you're going to get all the pitches to hit. So it's a great situation for them. And if you don't want to pitch to Lindor or Vientos, you got to pitch to Juan Soto. So it's just a where do you go situation. It's a pickle pretty much. Every pitcher that has to face the Mets is just going to be in a pickle the whole time. Do you pitch to Vientos and Lindor, but then don't pitch to Juan Soto, or do you do the opposite and give pitches to hit to Juan Soto? It is a pickle. And that's why I think this move is so good. Not even because of the money, not even because you brought in Juan Soto, who's a 26-year-old phenom, one of my favorite players personally. I have his jersey and all that. Yeah, maybe the contract's expensive, $75 million a year, 15 years, $765 million. That's a bit absurd, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I mean, that's really just what it is. Yeah. Alright guys, that'll do it for this one. Make sure that you guys go check out my IG at NickGetson0307 or at Big Four Sports Podcast. Let me know how you guys like the new intro, and yeah, I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright, see ya.